Hi guys! This is the second video in a series where I'm slowly filling out this prompt book called 642 Tiny Things to Draw. I've had this for a few years and decided I should actually put it to use instead of just staring at it on my shelf. In the previous video, I did this tiny section right here because I didn't know how to draw a mouse. I filled a total of 4 prompts, leaving 638 prompts left to go. Anyway, what I'm doing is closing my eyes, I promise, and flipping through the pages arbitrarily until I pick one, and then waving my hand around until I feel like pointing, and whatever I point at is the prompt I will do. Since these are tiny and don't take very long, I'm going to do 4 of them today. I may bump it up to like 5 or more in later videos, but we'll see. And the first prompt that I landed on was X-ray of a finger, which, okay, wasting a bunch of graphite right out the gate today apparently. I've had x-rays of my hands done before, back when I was like 10 and broke my pinky playing basketball. -8 out of 8, by the way, not that great. But if I'm being honest, I'm not certain of what an x-ray of a finger actually looks like, so I did Google it first just to be sure. I knew the shading wasn't going to be great because I wasn't going to spend 5 minutes filling in all the white space perfectly, but I did try and smudge the lines to make up for that. It didn't work the best, but it did the trick, and that's what matters. In fact, doing this sort of thing kind of makes me want to do, like, skeleton and bone studies. Everyone talks about doing anatomy studies with, like, skin and muscle, but I never see much about the bones. Skulls, sure, but, like, what about the rest of the body? There's some dope skeleton art out there. Like, brief spiel, I visited Lucerne, Switzerland back in 2017 and walked the Spreuerbrücke, one of their 2 footbridges. And it has these cool triangular skeleton art pieces that hang from the rafters all along the bridge. If you look up Lucerne skeleton paintings, you'll find them. I think they're super interesting. But yeah, just an aside, I think skeleton art is cool. Maybe I'll do some skeleton studies at some point. Who knows? I figured with a prompt like this that it would be easier to just let the graphite be messy and then erase the parts of the bone where it was denser and thus brighter. And it worked alright. I probably should have used my eraser pencil to get better detail, but I wasn't aiming for anything super realistic. Recently I've been trying to utilize more gestural lines that infer the shape rather than fighting over every single detail, because I've noticed that's what takes me so long when I draw sometimes. It's a work in progress, but I think I'm getting better at it. That's it for that piece. Now it's time to work on the second one. And the second prompt I landed on was blister, which, gross. I hate blisters, almost as much as acne, but I don't get blisters as often as I get acne. Not going to lie though, I almost skipped this and did a different prompt entirely and was going to pretend that I didn't even see this one. That being said, I still drew one, using my own finger as reference no less. My finger still itches just thinking about it. It feels like there should be a blister on my finger and there isn't, and it's making me low-key paranoid. Does anyone else have that sort of thing happen? Like they see some sort of injury happen on TV or something and that area of their body starts hurting? I want to say it's called empathy pain. I don't think it's sympathy pain, but I could be wrong. But yeah, if you know, you know. But hey, I got more practice drawing fingers, so there's that, I guess. First with the x-ray, now the blister. It's something at least. It's not often I draw imperfect skin, if that makes sense. A lot of art tends to skip over or ignore details of imperfect skin, and I get it, but I think it'd be nice to see some change. Maybe that's another thing I'll look into. Putting a lot of things on my list today. Well, that's it for this one. It's kind of fascinating to look at, and I am at least proud of it as a drawing, but it's still gross. So, next. The third prompt that I landed on was a lighter, which, lucky enough, I had one on my desk. I use it pretty much just to light candles, though I do make paracord bracelets sometimes and use the lighter to melt the ends of the rope so it doesn't fry. It's just generally useful to have one around, I've found. It was nice to have a reference that I could put right next to my drawing. It made getting more details down so much easier. The only real problem was that the book doesn't lie flat, so the page wasn't steady and the lighter was jostled around every so often. But that's just me being nitpicky. Also, I'm drawing this from my perspective, not the camera's perspective, so a lot of the angles won't match up to the view that you have. Not that I tried to make it photorealistic in the least, but just something I figured I should point out because it becomes pretty obvious. Initially, I was just going to shade the metal of the lighter and be done, But I don't ever know when to stop, so I also shaded the rest of it from my perspective. I wasn't really patient with myself when I did this, so the lines are kind of awkward and not good. I did attempt to smudge it out in the hopes that it would even out, but I think it would have worked better if I had had a blending stick. I don't remember where I stored those though, so moot point. Regardless, I still really like how this came out. It was a nice, simple, still life study, and sometimes that's exactly what I need to take it easy, but still practice a little bit, you know? Anyway, on to the next and final one. And the prompt I landed on was a friendship bracelet. And, confession time. I've never seen one of these things before. I was like vaguely aware that they were a thing, but I've never actually seen one and obviously never had one. So I don't know, maybe it's a regional thing because I never saw it around where I lived, but maybe it was more popular elsewhere. I have no idea. I realized that drawing every single knot in the pattern was going to be excruciatingly tedious, and I was prepared to do every single one too. Up until I got to the bottom of the bracelet and I was shaking my head because I knew that if I filled it in completely, the pattern would just disappear. So I added some lines and textured the sides a bit to give the illusion that it was pattern thread instead of actually filling it in. Call me lazy, but honestly, I was not about to go through all of that when it would have been mostly cut out in editing anyway, and I think the direction I went with worked out fine. So I did 4 pieces today. The first was this finger x-ray that honestly I think I liked the least out of the 4, but it was the first one and basically my only warm-up, so I forgive it. The blister piece though, gross, I think was a nice step up in terms of detail and line work. The study of the lighter was probably the most fun to draw for me. And the last piece, the friendship bracelet, was probably the simplest, but sometimes simple is exactly what art needs to be. So out of all 4 that I did today, I think my favorite is between the lighter and the bracelet, so I'm going to go with the lighter. Let me know if you have a favorite one out of these. I plan on doing about a video a month working through this prompt book until I finish it, mostly so that I can be held accountable for finishing it. It'll take a while, but gotta do what you gotta do. If you enjoyed this, you can like the video or leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought. I upload every Tuesday and Friday, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to see that content when it comes out. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!